Shalom, everybody. It is time for our weekly reading. Hopefully you can hear me well. As you can see, we have a totally different setup today, and this is nice. This is my new balcony. We'll be reading from here on nice days and stuff like that. Studio's still in disarray, but you're not here for that. You're here for the reading. So let us continue with Genesis 15, and we can have fun watching me slaughter the Hebrew words. As always, I do endeavor to do better. But Genesis 15. After these events, the word of Yahweh came to Abram in a vision, saying, "Do not be afraid, Abram. I am your shield, your reward. I am your shield. Your reward is exceedingly great." And Abram said, "Master Yahweh, what would you give me, seeing I go childless? And the heir of my house is Eliezer of Damascus." And Abram said, "See, you have given me no seed, and see, one born in my house is my heir. And see, the word of Yahweh came to him, saying, This one is not your heir, but he who comes from your own body is your heir." And he brought him outside and said, "Look toward the heavens and count the stars, if you are able to count them." And he said to him, "So are your seed." And he believed in Yahweh, and he reckoned it to him for righteousness. There's that word, righteousness. We're going to see that a lot throughout this word. And he said to him, "I am Yahweh who brought you out of Ur Kasdim to give you this land to inherit it." And he said, "Master Yahweh, whereby do I know that I possess it?" And he said to him, "Bring me a 3-year-old heifer, and a 3-year-old female goat, and a 3-year-old ram, and a turtle dove, and a young pigeon." He took all of these to him and cut them in the middle and placed each half opposite the other. But he did not cut the birds, and the birds of prey came down on the carcasses, and Abram drove them away. And it came to be, when the sun was going down, and a deep sleep fell upon Abram, that see, a frightening great darkness fell upon him. And he said to Abram, "Know for certain that your seed are to be sojourners in a land that is not theirs, and they shall serve them, and they shall afflict them for 400 years. That's key. We're going to see where this actually comes in. So Genesis 15:13, we're hearing that Yahweh is actually telling Abram that his seed will be servants, and they shall be afflicted for 400 years. "But the nation whom they serve I am going to judge, and afterwards let them come out with great possessions." We could jump into Exodus and find out exactly what we're being foretold. Now, we're on 15:15. "Now, as for you, you are to go to your fathers in peace. You are to be buried at a good old age. Then, in the 4th generation, they shall return here, for the crookedness of the Amorites is not yet complete." And it came to be, when the sun went down and it was dark, that see, a smoking oven and a burning torch passed between those pieces. On the same day Yahweh made a covenant with Abram, saying, "I have given this land to your seed, from the river of Mitzrayim to the great river, the river Euphrates, with the Quinite and the Quazinite and the Quadmonite and the Hittite and the Perizzite and the Raphaim, and the Amorite and the Canaanite and the Girgashite, and the Ubustite." That is chapter 15. Let us continue on to 16 today. And Sarai, Abram's wife, had borne him no child, and she had a Mizraite female servant whose name was Hagar. And Sarai said to Abram, see, Yahweh has kept me from bearing children. Please go into my female servant. It might be that I am built up by her. And Abram listened to the voice of Sarai. Not much is placed upon this. Abram listened to the voice of Sarai, not Yahweh at this point. She's like, well, here, go into, have sex with my servant. Let's not, mix words here. Here, have sex with her. Us men, we're going to find out through this word that Hebrew men have a very, very bad history with females in choosing other ones than their wives. Sorry, my voice, I need a little bit of liquid. You should drink water. Yes, I should, but it is early. Not really, but it's early for me. But Abram listened to the voice of Sarai, and Sarai, Abram's wife, took Hagar, her female servant, the Mitzrite, a Mitzrite, and gave her to her husband to be his wife. 2 wives. After Abram had dwelt 10 years in the land of Canaan, and he went into Hagar, and she conceived. And when she saw that she had conceived, her mistress was despised in her eyes. And Sarai said to Abram, my wrong be upon you. I gave my female servant into your bosom. And when she saw that she had conceived, I was displeased in her. I was despised in her eyes. Let Yahweh judge between you and me. And Abram said, Sarai, see, your female servant is in your hand. Do to her what is good in your eyes. And Sarai treated her harshly, and she fled from her presence. And the messenger of Yahweh found her by a spring of water in the wilderness, by the spring on the way to Shur. And he said, Hagar, Sarai's female servant, where have you come from, and where are you going? Cotton Eye Joe. Oh, sorry. And she said, I am fleeing from the presence of Sarai, my mistress. And the messenger of Yahweh said to her, return to your mistress and humble yourself under her hand. And the messenger of Yahweh said to her, I am going to increase your seed greatly, too numerous to be counted. This is Yahweh. This is the messenger speaking to Hagar. And if you look in your Bible, messenger is capitalized. This is a Christophacy. I think that's how you pronounce it. This is Yahweh. This is Yeshua. This is Jesus before Jesus. This is much like Melchizedek. When you see messenger of Yahweh, when you see the messenger capitalized, I believe that's Yeshua. Christophany. That's the proper term. 15:9. And the messenger, or 16:9, sorry. And the messenger of Yahweh said to her, return to your mistress and humble yourself under her hand. And the messenger of Yahweh said to her, I am going to increase your seed greatly, too numerous to be counted. And the messenger of Yahweh said to her, see, you are conceiving and bearing a son, and shall call his name Ishmael, because Yahweh has heard your affliction. And he is to be a wild man, his hand against everyone, and everyone's hand against him, and dwell over against all his brothers. And she called the name of Yahweh, who spoke to her, you are the El who sees, for she said, even here I have seen after him, capitalized, who sees me. That is why the well was called Be'er Lahai-Ro. Be'er Lahai-Ro. See, it is between Kadesh and Bered, bread, or bird, however you want to pronounce that. And Hagar bore Abram a son, and Abram called the name of his son, who Hagar bore, Ishmael. And Abram was 86 years old when Hagar bore Ishmael to Abram. We're going to stop there at 16 because that was a lot to ingest. And we're going to actually find out the firstborn of Abram is Ishmael. But the line doesn't really end there. This is just the beginning of a very interesting story. And I think one that a lot of people actually miss when it comes down to the religions and what has been said. Because we're going to find out that Ishmael, though he doesn't receive the inheritance, he is still given a promise. And I think many followers, mosquitoes. The skeeters are out. Many of the followers forget that. But we're not going to deep dive into that. Thank you for bearing with me as I stumble across these wonderful words. And apparently today, a few normal words I stumbled across. Yes, I have reading comprehension, but that's the word for today. Thank you all for joining again. And as always, shalom and blessings. And thank you for watching. I'm out.